I'm going to do a survey real quick. If I can't get through it all today, are you willing to stay just a little bit longer? Okay. Or would you rather me go to a following week? It won't be Mother's Day, it's next week, so it'll be the following week. Are you okay with today? I'll be honest with you, it's going to be probably a little bit longer. But God has used already just the title, depression. Because here's what happens. What happens is that people think that in the church that you're not going to get depressed because you're a Christian. That's a lie from Satan. Okay? Let me just tell you this. If you're a Christian, you're going to come under attack by the world, and that's what God's Word says. And as a Christian, you might get depressed. You need to know what the signs are. You need to know how to deal with it and how to get out of it. So I'm starting a 4-week series, understanding that next week's Mother's Day. I love Mother's Day. We'll be dedicating babies and stuff on next week. But the following week, we'll pick this back up on getting unstuck. Getting unstuck. You ever been in the Christian walk and kind of feel like you're stuck in the mud? Like, man, I just can't get out. I just don't know why I even go to... You see, I can give you all kinds of excuses. Eventually, why bother? Nobody even noticed that I'm missing. So why be bothered going to church? I've heard it. I've seen it. And so we're going to talk about depression today. Next time, 2 weeks from today, getting unstuck in your marriage. Do you ever feel like, oh, if that woman says one more word, or she goes, if he doesn't take that, I don't want, he's going to go sleep one time. I'm just going to unload on him. My wife said that from the day we got married. You will go to sleep. I sleep like this all the time. How about this? You ever been afraid to live life? And you just live, you're stuck in fear? Well, I'm afraid to do this. I'm afraid to do that. I'm afraid, I just can't do anything. How about this one? Now, on this one, on the 4th week, 5 weeks from today, if you get an invitation in the mail, it's not from me. I'm going to be talking about negativity. You know the people, well, I just didn't like that. Well, hey, you just seen the greatest concert? Well, it's just wow. You know, hey, just had a great church service. Well, you know, the ushers, they weren't even. They took up the offering. The pastor's a little long-winded. The guitar was out of tune. You know, I can find anything negative about anything. And man, I just can't stand to be around negative people. I'm a pastor. Daisy, don't judge me. I'm still a person. I was like, oh. Negativity, boy, just brings you down. It's like, oh, just drains you. So if you get an invitation, it's not from me. From the Lord. God told me to invite you here. All right. Think about the time you was in a rut. I don't know if it's a marriage, depression, negativity, fear. You might be in a rut at work. You might be in a rut spiritually, emotionally, maybe physically. You know, I know people who work out a lot, they hit a physical barrier. They feel like, man, I just can't lose any more weight. Or I can't put any more weight on the barbell. You know, how do you get out of that rut? What keeps you going? What gets you motivated to get up the next day and go and try to get out of the rut? You know, wintertime, when we used to live out in the country, I always had to have a 4-wheel drive because there's nothing that made me madder than to get up our hill and hear this. Couldn't get any traction, you know, you look out there. Sometimes I've even left mine in drive and get out, nobody in the car, and start pushing it, and still couldn't get any traction. You know, lucky it didn't run over me. Didn't say I was very smart. I just said, I've been there. Well, get you unstuck. But the one thing I can tell you is this. Being stuck in a rut with depression will take a toll on you. Did you hear me? Being stuck in a depressive state of mind, whether it be spiritually, emotionally, physically, will take a toll on you eventually. And a lot of times, people don't even know they're struggling with depression. When we think of depression, we think of someone who loses a loved one and automatically that's the only thing we think about. But I'm going to give you 5 ways today that people will get in a depressive state. If you were going to define depression, how would you define it? How would you define depression? Moping around, you know. Here's a depressive. Here it is for you, okay? Take time to write this down. A temporary emotional state characterized by exaggerated, extended feelings of hopelessness that aren't consistent with reality. See, the mind's a tricky thing. And when I say, well, Pastor, you don't mean really exaggerated. Yeah, I mean exaggerated. You know, your mind can start working on things and you start getting, well, hey, they went off on me. Well, no, they just, have you ever had a misconception with someone and then you realize that you go talk to them, I was completely off base. I took that completely wrong. See, exaggerated, extended feelings of hopelessness. You know, it just feels like everything I do. I'm just kind of hopeless. I don't know what to do. I just don't know what's going on. I'm just kind of lost. I don't know what. And usually, it's not consistent with reality. It's not consistent with reality. And sometimes, and we can go back to this, you got to know what you know, what you know. And if you don't know, start asking. Okay? So there's our, did everybody take pictures of it and stuff like that? Depression. What I was asking Tiffany about this morning. I said, what if I told you that one of the greatest prophets in the Bible actually struggled with depression? Did you know that? It is Elijah. Elijah. So let me see your swords. We'll get into that. You got your sword with you today? Hold it up high. Awesome, awesome. I want to open up in prayer and jump right into God's word and we'll get rolling. Okay, let's pray. Father God, I come to you right now. First of all, just thank you so much for the power of prayer. Father, today, I don't know who's listening. I don't know who's going to listen to this. I don't know who this is for, but God, I know that Satan has been trying to fight among the leadership of this church to slow things down about this sermon today. And God, I stand on your word that Satan is not going to win this. Father, that greater is he who's in me than in this world. And Father, the people who are listening to this today need to understand that depression happens in your people because we are humans. Father, we are humans. And as much as we like to think that it doesn't happen to us, it does. So God, speak to us today. There might be someone in this room or listening to this in the future on tape or online, but Father, that doesn't even know that they're going through depression. They just know their life just doesn't seem right. They're kind of stuck in a rut. Father, use the words today. Let them be your words and not mine. We want to give you all the glory. We love you and we thank you. We ask in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, take your Bibles and move to 1 Kings. 1 Kings. In the Old Testament, you'll find 1 Kings, and you'll find Chronicles, 1 Chronicles, 2 Chronicles, and all that stuff. And 1 Kings is right after the prophet, or the prophets who led his people. So we're in 1 Kings chapter 18. And I want to move the pulpit here today. It's going to slow down a little bit of my walking, but I want to stay close to my notes so that I can get you out of here on a good time. The very first thing that can cause a depression in an individual, especially this one right now I'm talking to about those who are spiritual, who are Christians. All right? We can fall into a depressive state or a rut after an intense ministry output. You know, when you have one of those mountaintop experiences, you know what I'm talking about, and man, I'm on fire for the Lord, and everything's going good, and I'm right there, great ministry output, and it kind of drained me a little bit, and I'm excited about what God's doing, and look out, because you can come into a depressive state right after that. All right, I'm going to do a lot of reading today. Bear with me because the lights play tricks on my glasses, so I try to read it. 1 Kings chapter 18, verse 21. I'm going to go all the way through 39. So Elijah came near to the people and said, how long, I will start off with 20. I didn't get it to valley. So Ahab sent a message among the sons of Israel and brought the prophets together at Mount Carmel. Now let me just set this up for you. He brought the prophets. He had Baal prophets, and they had the prophet Elijah. So Elijah came near to the people and said, how long will you hesitate between the two opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him. But if Baal, follow him. But the people didn't answer with the word. And then Elijah said to the people, I alone am left the prophet of the Lord. The Baal's prophets are 450 men. So just kind of see the picture. You got Elijah sitting there representing God, okay, the only God, sitting there by himself. And over on this side, you got 450 Baal prophets, okay? 450 Baal prophets. Now let them give us 2 oxen, and let them choose 1 ox for themselves, and cut it up and place it on the wood, but put no fire under it. And I will prepare the other ox and lay it, the other ox will lay on the wood, and I will put no fire under it. Then you can call the name of your God, and I will call the name of the Lord. And the God who answers by fire, he is God. And all the people said, that is a good idea. Yeah, they were, right at first they were all quiet. And then he said, hey, you guys choose your ox. You take that, so there's no tricks, nothing going on. You take your ox, prepare it, put some wood under it, and then I'll prepare this one over here. And then you call for fire, and I'll call for fire. Whichever comes down fire, that's the God. And the people said, all right, that's a good idea. So Elijah said to the prophets of Baal, choose 1 ox for yourselves and prepare it first for as many, and call on the name of your God, put no fire under it. Then they took the ox, which was given them, and they prepared it and called on the name of Baal from morning until noon, saying, O Baal, answer us. But there was no voice, and no one answered. And they leaped about the altar which they had made. Can you kind of see this going on? You know, they thought they were serving the right God. Oh Baal, come on, brother. And then they stepped up their worship, started dancing around. Come on, Baal. We'll march it. Okay. And it came about noon that Elijah mocked them and said, call out with a loud voice, for he is a God. Either he's occupied or gone aside or is on a journey, or perhaps he's asleep and needs to be awakened. Now, God has created in me the humor that I just saw in this verse. Okay? When it says he's occupied, it's like maybe he's doing something else and your God don't care enough about you right now. Or maybe he's asleep. Cry a little louder. And do you see it? Elijah is already mocking him and God hasn't done anything yet. Okay? So he's going, scream out, is he asleep? Boy, you better hope God comes through. Because he's all alone. 1 verse 450. That is humorous. Okay. All right. So they cried with a loud voice. They did it. They listened to him. Yeah, we'll cry loud. Bam! And cut themselves according to their custom. Now, God has not asked me to cut myself to get his attention. In fact, his son took all the torture that I needed to go through to get my attention. With their swords and lances, and the blood gushed out on them. Now it's midday. So they started out in the morning, and verse 29, now it's midday. When midday was past, they reigned until the time of the offering of the evening sacrifice, but there was no voice, no one answered, and no one paid attention. Morning to evening, nothing. Then Elijah said to all the people, come near to me. So all the people come near to him, and he prepared the altar of the Lord, which had been torn down. Elijah took 12 stones, according to the number of the tribes of the sons of Jacob, to whom the word of the Lord had come, saying, Israel shall be your name. So with the stones he built an altar in the name of the Lord. He made a trench around the altar, large enough to hold 2 measures of seed. Then he arranged the wood and cut the ox in pieces and laid it on the wood. And he said, fill 4 pitchers with water and pour it on the burnt offering and on the wood. He's stepping it up. He'd already mocked them, and now he's stepping it up. God hadn't done anything yet. And he put some water on, okay? And on the wood. And he said, do it a second time. Okay, you guys put the 4 pitchers of water on it. Now do it again. Oh, it's not done yet. And he said, do it a third time. And they did it a third time. So can you imagine these guys come? Are you crazy? Wood don't burn when it's wet. You just said that. You didn't know I was even preaching about that. Wood doesn't burn when it's wet. You ever try to burn wood and it starts popping? Nothing. The water flowed around the altar, also filled the trench with water. So he poured it all out and filled the trench full of water too. At that time of the offering of the evening sacrifice, Elijah the prophet came near and said, O Lord, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, today let it be known that you are God in Israel, and that I am your servant, and I have done all these things at your word. Answer me, O Lord, answer me, that this people may know that you, O Lord, are God, and that you have turned their heart back again. Then the fire of the Lord fell, consumed the burnt offering, and the wood, and the stones, and the dust, and licked up the water that was in the trench. And all the people saw it, and fell on their faces, and they said, the Lord, he is God. The Lord, he is God. I tell you what, if things didn't come through for Elijah, if he wasn't looking pretty good, hey, I tell you what, my God can do that. Do you guys believe that your God can do that? That's a pretty amazing thing right there. And so when you have something pretty amazing like that, I'm going to show you in a few minutes, that Elijah goes into depression. But he was at a mountaintop experience. I mean, he was having fun with it. Lord doing some great things. I'm telling you, you guys aren't going to believe this. When God does this, look out. God can do it. Just wait and see. Hey, scream a little louder. Maybe he's asleep. And they went all day. Then Elijah just says, God, show that you're God. Wow! Wow! All right, second thing, we can fall into depression or rut after relational conflict. After relational conflict. You ever have a relationship conflict with someone and you get all depressed? You ever get in a fight with your wife and then you get kind of depressed because you realize you're an idiot? Not me, I'm just asking about you. You ever get in a relationship conflict with someone at church? It's like, oh, that carpet's got to be red. No, it's blue. It's free. It's blue. Right, Rick? Amen. Hey, you have a relationship. The noodles are too thick. Right, Mildred? For the Sunday school class, you can't make this stuff up. I don't like your noodles, so I don't like yours. We're out. It could happen. But look at this. Chapter 18, verse 40. Verse 40. Now understand this, that the arguments between Elijah and Ahab have been going on for 3 years. So there's some conflict going on. Look here, verse 40. Then Elijah said to them, seize the prophets of Baal. Do not let one of them escape. So they seized them, and Elijah brought them down to the brook Kishon and slew them there. Now Elijah said to Ahab, go up, eat and drink, for there is a sound roar of a heavy shower. So Ahab went up to eat and drink. You know, different activities burn different energy. It's amazing that I can go to work and I'm getting up in age and my energy level is not like it used to be. But man, I can go and I can work hard, 8, 10, 12 hour day. But you give me a day of standing around doing nothing, it wears me out. You let me go to a hospital and sit for about 10 or 12 hours, man, it's like, oh, I'm wore out. When you use your mind at times, you just, and you say, okay, I'm working for a long period of time using my mind, I'm engaging my mind, and it just uses a different amount of energy, doesn't it? And so different things use a different amount of energy, and conflict, let me tell you, conflict uses a lot of energy. Conflict. All right. Next one. We can fall into depressive rut after an extreme physical effort. We'll begin in verse 42. We'll pick up there. And we'll go to verse 46. But Elijah went up to the top of Carmel, and he crouched down on the earth and put his face between his knees. He said to his servant, go up now, looking toward the sea. So he went up and looked and said, there's nothing. He said, go back 7 times. So there hasn't been any rain. There's been a little bit of conflict, and Elijah's asked God to keep the rain back, and now he's telling him, hey, the rain's going to come because I'm showing him he's God. He just set fire, and rain's getting ready to come. Servant, go look out to the sea and see if you see any rain coming. And the servant goes, I don't see anything. He says, go back and do it 7 times. 7 times. It came about the 7th time that he said, behold, a cloud as small as a man's hand is coming up from the sea. Do you know how close to the cloud that big would have to be before you saw it? You know, sometimes the answer to God looks pretty small. Stuff starts coming. It's coming up from the sea. He said, go up, say to Ahab, prepare your chariot and go down, so that the heavy shower does not stop you. In a little while, the sky grew black, clouds and the wind. There was a heavy shower, and Ahab rode and went to Jezreel. And the hand of the Lord was on Elijah, and he girded up his loins, and outran Ahab to Jezreel. He told Ahab, hey, look, the storm's getting ready to come. He's going to wash you away. It's going to be a heavy shower. You better get in your chariot. You better go to Jezreel. I'm going to gird up my loins. Now, for those of you who don't know biblical terms, there was an inner garment and an outer garment. And so they wear it's kind of like, I don't want to say it's a skirt, but it's like a long thing and a robe, long robe. And what they would do is they would reach down, grab the back of that garment, and they'd tuck it in their belt. And so they made a pair of shorts so that they could run. And years ago, I was in a play. Chris did the same thing. And we were running up to a tomb to see that Jesus had risen on Easter, you know. And you ever tried running up steps and you put your foot inside that thing? It will pull your neck right on down. As you take the next step, the next one just pulls you on down until you're flat on your face. I should have girded up the loins on that one. So he girds up his loins and outruns Ahab in the chariot. That's pretty fast. Godspeed. You can say, yeah, Godspeed right there. Godspeed to you. So after a physical effort, you just go, whoa, I'm just wore out. Jerry Clown. You know, you just wore out. I can't do anything else. I'm done. Physical effort. All right? We can fall into depressive rut after a major victory or achievement. 1 Kings 19:1. Now Ahab told Jezebel all that Elijah had done, and now he had killed all the prophets with the sword. See, he blamed everything on Elijah. You know, man, we are the biggest babies, I just tell you. It's proof right here in the Bible. Ahab went to his wife, Jezebel, and said, "Do you know what Elijah did? He killed all the prophets. His God burned up the burnt offering. Our God did nothing. His God brought rain. We had nothing." You see what I'm saying? And Jezebel, woman, do not cross them. That doesn't cost you anything extra. I'm just teaching you something right now. Okay? See, Ahab blamed everything on Elijah. Now, think about this for a second. Elijah would think that this was a pretty big game changer, wouldn't you think? I got news for you. He had a major victory, major achievement. It didn't change anything. Ahab's, he was still king. It didn't change anything about his life except he lost 450 prophets that were false prophets. And I guarantee you there was more men waiting to step into those roles. So he lost everything still the same for him. But when we as people expect the achievement of the victory that we have to affect other people and it doesn't, you can fall into a depression. Okay? It's like, why don't you see it? I don't know. I just don't see it that way. It doesn't bother me. Apparently it's bothering you. Now here's the one that everybody thinks that depression happens with. Depression, we can fall into depression after huge disappointment. Look at 1 Kings chapter 19, chapter 2, verse 2 and 3. Then Jezebel sent a messenger to Elijah saying, "So may the gods do to me and even more, if I do not make your life as the life of one of them by tomorrow about this time." So Jezebel standing up for her man. She's going, "Oh, may the gods do to me as what you did to those 450 prophets if you're not dead by tomorrow." Okay? Now, go on to verse 3. And he was afraid and rose and ran for his life and came to Beersheba, which belongs to Judah, and left his servant there. A lot of things that just happened. Do you see what has just happened? I mean, a moment ago, Elijah called on God just easy. Just, "Hey God, answer me real quick. If you're the God, send down fire." Boom. "Hey God, if you're the God, go ahead and bring the rain in." A little storm on my hand. Boom. One woman says, "I'm going to kill you." Now, here's the thing. I didn't give this to Valerie, but write this down if you're taking notes. We need to understand that the factors that trigger depression and our internal responses may not lie in our control. I can't control someone else. I can't control that my car won't start. I can't control that my boss doesn't like the way I look and is going to let me go. I can't control that something else is going to happen. That's out of my control. And my internal instinct is to get all mad, or to pay them back, or to run and hide, or I lost my job, I don't know what I'm going to do. But what happens is we can't control that, but what we do next, we can control.
Amen.
We can control what we do next. And the distance between delight and defeat, triumph and terror, is measured in the space between verses 2 and 3. Look, verse 2. Jezebel says, I'm going to kill you by tomorrow. Internal instinct is, I better run. But he forgot what God had just done. He could have said, hey, listen, woman, you do not fear me, or you do not make me afraid about anything. My God just sent fire. He just sent rain. He made your God look stupid. And look, you think you're going to kill me? He did all that, killed those 450. You can't touch me.
Amen.
But no, his internal reaction was, I better run. I better get out of here. She's going to kill me. And we fall into that depression. We let fear set into our life, and it's a pretty predictable path that we fall into when we allow fear to outweigh our God. When we say, I tell you what, I'm afraid about this situation right now. Listen, God is bigger than any situation you could be going through. When we make that situation, like Elijah said, hey, Jezebel is a whole lot bigger right now. My problem is a whole lot bigger right now than my God. And that's what we do. We focus on our problem instead of on our God. So, here are some things that are signs, pretty easy to understand, that you are in a depressive state. First of all, you'll find a place of isolation. You'll find a place to be isolated. Look at verses 3 and 4. Chapter 19, verses 3 and 4. And he was afraid and arose and ran for his life and came to Beersheba, which belongs to Judah, and left his servant there. But he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness and came and sat down on a juniper tree, and he requested for himself that he might die. And he said, it is enough now, O Lord, take my life, for I am not better than my fathers. Listen to me. Did you just hear that? Elijah was contemplating suicide. God, just go ahead and take me now. Hey, I can't take this anymore. I'm in fear for my life. Just go ahead and take me now, God. I don't want to live anymore. A sign of depression. He went into isolation and was crying out and wishing he wasn't even alive. Another sign. Focusing on the negative. Look at verses 4 and 5 here. 4, 5, 10, 13, and 14. But he himself went a day's journey to the wilderness and came and sat down on a juniper tree, requested for himself that he might die. And he said, it's enough now, O Lord, take my life, for I am not better than my fathers. He lay down and slept under a juniper tree. And behold, there's an angel touching him. And he said to him, arise and eat. He dropped down to verse 10. He said, I have been very zealous for the Lord, the God of hosts, for the sons of Israel have forsaken your covenant, torn down your altars, and killed your prophets with the sword, and I alone am left, and they seek my life to take it away. And then drop down to verse 13 and 14. When Elijah heard it, he wrapped his face in his mantle and went out and stood in the entrance of the cave, and behold, a voice came and said to him, what are you doing here, Elijah? And then he said, I have been very zealous for the Lord, the God of hosts, for the sons of Israel have forsaken your covenant, tore down your altars, and killed your prophets with the sword. And I alone am left, and they seek my life to take it away. Just focusing on the negative. I'm the only one left. I'm the only one here. I can hear him. Elijah, what are you doing? I'm telling you what, God. The negative, the Jezebel's after me, and I'm the only one that killed all the prophets, and I'm living here by myself. I'm running for my life. You know what we do? We start getting depressed and we start focusing on the negative. Negative, 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 negative. My goodness. He's missing it. He's missing it. I'll show you here in a few minutes. Forgetting God and his provisions. Look at verse 4. 19:4. Down towards the end. It is enough. Now, O Lord, take my life, for I'm not better than my father. So he's saying, hey, I want to die. And then look at verse 10. Look what he says here. He said, I've been very zealous for the Lord, God of hosts, sons of Israel, Then forsaken your covenant, now torn down your altars and killed your prophets, and the sword and iron on the left. Still focusing on the negative. He's forgetting that God's providing. They seek my life to take it away. Verse 13 and 14. Elijah heard it. He wrapped his face in his mantle and went up, stood in the entrance to him. At the entrance to the cave, and behold, a voice came to him and said, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" Then he said, "I have been very zealous for the Lord, and they're trying to kill him. Your prophet's sword, and I'm on the left, and they seek my life to take it away." He'd forgotten about everything God had done. He just said, "Arise and eat." He provided food. He had just provided the fire. He had just provided the rain. He just provided all this stuff. And the only thing that Elijah could say, "I'm alone left. I'm all by myself. I'm fighting this battle all by myself." Listen to me. When you're in a battle, God is with you. Amen. He is with you. He never leaves you. He promises, "I will never leave you." Amen. We used to teach our children in children's church that little saying. We go, "I will never leave you." Adults, you need to learn from that. You're not alone. We can forget all about what God's doing in our life. This past winter, in fact, it's still in my truck. Just tell you how. I figure I'll use it one day. My wife bought salt. You know, the bag of salt for wintertime. I set it in the back seat because when you're spinning, what do you need? You need traction. Listen to this. God provides the traction.
Amen.
You know, He provides your traction. Here's 5 ways that God will take care of it. And I promise you I'll be closing here in just a few minutes. God will confront you. Look at 1 Kings chapter 19, verse 9 and 13. Then he came to the cave and lodged there, and behold, the word of the Lord came to him and said to him, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" Verse 13. When Elijah heard it, he wrapped his face in mantle and went out and stood in the entrance of the cave, and behold, a voice came to him and said, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" God don't argue. "Well, I'll tell you what, I'm the only servant left." You know. Hey, you know what? We had a men's study, and we've talked about cultural Christians and biblical Christians. There's churches, and I'm not beating up any church. If you're part of another church, I'm just telling you. There's churches that are geared towards cultural Christians versus biblical Christians. And here's what happens. People who are attending a biblical church who want to live a cultural life will get upset when God pinpoints or the pastor preaches God's word and says, "That's wrong." Well, I'll find a church that I can go to that says it's all right. Hey, God does not mince words. Jesus did the same thing when he was on the planet. He would say, "Hey, here's your problem of sin right here." Amen. God will confront you if you got a problem going on in your life. Say, "Hey, this is what you need to deal with now." He says to Elijah, "What are you doing here? I just showed you that I'm God. Amen. Why are you running? What brought you right here?" All right. Look at verse 18 just for a second. You know, he having a pity party. "Oh, I'm all myself." Go down to verse 18. God talked to him and said, "Yet I'll leave 7,000 in Israel, all the knees that have not bowed to Baal, and every mouth that has not kissed him." Hey, you're not alone. You're 7,001. Amen. You miscounted. You're not by yourself. You might feel like you're in that battle by yourself of depression, but you're not. This is not my notes. It's not going to cost anything extra for being here. You know what happens? People get upset at church and they'll get depressed and, "Well, I'm not going to go back there. No one knows what I'm going through." You know why? Because you come in here and you go, "Everything's good. Life is great." You step out the door, No one even noticed that I was, going through a hard time in my life. Because we're not mind, anybody mind reader in here? No one? I don't know what you're going through what? Unless you share.
Amen.
I need to have a prayer request. You know what? I've been going through a rough time. That's all it is. So what happens is we allow fear to set in on. As soon as I tell someone that I'm going through a hard time, they're going to judge me. If they judge you, they need prayer.
Amen.
Because that's all wrong. Another thing, God reveals himself. Look at 1 Kings 19:10-14 again. I know I've read this over and over again, but you got to see it. Look what it says here. He said, I have been zealous to the Lord, the God of hosts, but the sons of Israel have forsaken your covenant, torn down your altars, and killed your prophets with the sword. Now I alone and left, and they seek my life to take it away. So he said, go forth and stand on the mountain before the Lord. And behold, the Lord was passing by, and a great and strong wind was rending the mountains and breaking in pieces the rocks before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind. And after the wind, an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake, a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire, a sound of a gentle blow. Elijah heard it, and he wrapped his face in his mantle and went out and stood in the entrance of the cave. And behold, a voice came to him saying, what are you doing here, Elijah? Then he said, I have been very zealous for the Lord, the God of hosts. For the sons of Israel have forsaken your covenant, tore down your altars, and killed your prophets with the sword. And I alone am left, and they seek my life to take it away. Isn't that the way we work? Life can throw all kinds of things at us, and we deal with it. Three major things there. The wind comes and tearing down the mountains, an earthquake, a fire, and it's like we just, okay, that's okay. That's normal life. We just deal with it. And that's what you might be going through a terrible time, but life throws some things at you, and you just kind of deal with it. And we're expecting God to stand forth and say, I am God! And tear down and just, we have become this consumer Christians where we want to take a pill and rip it dry and tell God, pull up the window, can I help you? This is God. Yeah, I'd like for you to wipe out all of this country. Pull forward, it's done. Isn't that what we think? Hey God, I want you to fix this. Pull forward, I got you. And you get that real small voice, God says, what are you doing here?
Amen.
You've missed everything I've been doing for you. How'd you get here? Sometimes we hear that voice and we think it's something else. Surely like God talking to me. I mean, he wants me to go back to church. Does he know what those people do? All right, three quick ones. God provides. 19 verses 6 through 8. Then he looked and behold, there was at his head bread cake baked on hot stones, and a jar of water. So he ate and drank and lay down again. Then the Lord came the second time and touched him and said, arise, eat, because the journey is too great for you. So he rose and ate and drank and went to strength and food 40 days, 40 nights, toward the mountain of God. See, he had missed his point there. God had sent an angel and said, hey, you're going to need the strength to get to Mount Horeb. I'm going to provide you the strength. How many times right now, this is a survey, how many times have you went through something in your life and you said, you know what? When I got done with that, I had no idea how I was going to make it through it. When I look back, and I can look back at the past, I said, God, you brought me through it. There's no way I could have been through this without you. Put your hand up. Hey, let's give God something. Hey, I couldn't do it without you, God.
Amen.
I missed it. When I thought I was alone by myself, you was right there. You provided.
Amen.
provided. When I need something to drink, you provided. When I need that little angel to come up and say, Pastor, I love your sermons, he provided.
Amen.
God directs. 1 Kings 19, 15 through 17. Look what he says here. Then the Lord said to him, go return your way to the wilderness. Hey, listen, if God hasn't given you new orders, don't be searching for something else. God said, you keep doing what I tell you to do until I give you different orders.
Amen.
In fact, God said, hey, you're going back there. You might be running, but I'm telling you what, I'm sending you back. You got more work to do. Here, Damascus, and when you arrive, you shall anoint Hazael, king over Aram, and Jehu, the son of Nimshi, and you shall anoint king over Israel, and Elijah, the son of Shaphat, of Abel, yeah, I'm too wound up to even pronounce nothing right now. You shall anoint him as a prophet in your place. It shall come about, the one who escapes from the sword of Hazael, Jehu shall put to death, and the one who escapes from the sword of Jehu, Elisha, shall be put to death. Here, listen. I got more work for you. Don't take yourself out of the game.
Amen.
God gave you the Great Commission. God gave you last week the Andrews. Step up. Hey, I'm not asking step up now, but invite. Tell people about Jesus. People gonna die, go to hell because we're not telling them.
Amen.
That's our job, is it not? God refocuses. Look at verses 18 and 19, chapter 19. Yet I will leave 7,000 in Israel, and all the knees that have not bowed to Baal, and every mouth that has not kissed him. Verse 19. So he departed from there and found Elijah the son of Shaphat, while he was plowing with 12 pairs of oxen before him, and he with the 12. And Elijah passed over to him and threw his mantle on him. We're in this together. We're in this together. God said, help. Don't let depression take you out. Don't let depression take you out of this world about what God wants you to do. That depression shut Elijah completely out of the resources that he needed the most. When we have resources, this is what we need. We need people to love us. When we're depressed, we need people to love us.
Amen.
We need relationships to support us. That's what this church body means, right? Hey, I'm with you, sister. I'm with you, brother. Hey, tell me what's going on. How can I pray for you? Can I help you a little bit? How about I feel all alone? Come on over. Let's sit down and talk. Sometimes we need a friend who gets a reality check. Oh, yeah. Hey, wake up! You ever want to shake someone just, rattle their teeth a little bit when they're acting stupid? Like they're thinking, God, I was sorry for God, I was out there. So I think you just need to wake up. I'm telling you right here. Don't slap them, I'll get you in jail. But hey, sometimes we need a friend to tell us the truth. Instead of, oh yeah, pity party, I'm with you. Oh. I'll toot your horn too. Oh, you're beautiful. Yeah, all
Rachel.
Amen. Sometimes we isolate ourselves. Take one and pass it back. Take one and pass it back. Sometimes we also isolate ourselves when we're down. That's not a good plan at all. I got a card here. It's got 5 questions. You want some signs? You want to do a self-check to see if you're going through depression? Answer these questions. All right, you ready? Here you go. I know you're not had yours yet, but it's coming. It's coming. Do you have fewer personal friends than you did a year ago? Well, I just don't know anymore. Hey, listen, As shy as I am, I could talk to the wall. Okay? I can make friends with anybody. Come to church, you'll make some friends.
Amen.
Number 2, does it make you angry when your phone rings for you? Someone follow me again. I just don't want to talk to anybody. I just want to be left alone. Don't they know I want to be left alone? Quit calling me. Caller ID. It's them again. They won't leave your voicemail, will they? Because they don't want to talk to you. Number 3, are you retreating to the bedroom or somewhere else to get away from family? Mom's having one of those days. Better leave her alone. She's in the bedroom. All by herself. Hey, you can say this for men. If you're retreating to the garage or somewhere else to get away from the family. Well, he's just going out in that garage. He won't even talk to me anymore. The supper really wasn't burnt that bad. Here comes church people. Are you avoiding your small group or avoiding joining one? Well, if I get in a small group, guess what? They're going to get to know me. I just soon stay in my pity party right here. I'm not walking out that church with a smile. I'm telling you. I am flexing my muscle and I'm not smiling. I'm frowning. Last one. You try not to make eye contact with people at church. Have you stopped going to church altogether? Chad, I'm going to use you for example. How you doing today, Chad? Life going okay? Oh, yeah, it's going good. You ever talk to anybody? Here, I got one for somebody. You guys got one on this side? Pass them over that side. All right. Here's the deal. Listen to me. Satan is going to try to whisper in your ear to get you defeated to when you stop coming to church. And when you are suffering from depression and you feel like, hey, why should I even go? That is when you need to be here.
Amen.
That is when you need to be lifted up. And on the back of that card, turn that card over, verse 46, our psalm says this. God is our refuge and strength, very present help in trouble. You think you're by yourself? You're not. He's your strength. Those individuals who said, I've been through life in times of my life where I said, I cannot believe I made it through this time of my life. And then when I got there, I turned back and I could see God had me all the way. Would you raise your hand again? If you haven't been through that, look at all these people that have. Okay? Don't be alone. God will help you through that. Maybe you're sitting here today and you say, you know what, Pastor? You talk about this God awful lot. I need him in my life. I need to trust Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. Today you can. If you have not had a time where you have not asked Jesus Christ to come into your life, in a moment we're going to give you an invitation, and you can step out and say, hey, I want to trust Jesus right now. I need that strength. I need to know that God that was right there for Elijah, that brought the fire. I need that God that has helped all these people to get through what they've gone through, and they realized they couldn't do it on their own strength. It was God that got them through that. I need that. You can come forward and say, I want to be a believer today. I promise you, will not embarrass you. Come forward and say that, and we'll walk you out to another room so that no one knows what's going on. Let you make that decision, okay? Maybe you're looking for a church home. We'd love to have you be a part of this church. Serve the Lord here. We'd love to have you be a part of this. We got people that today have driven over an hour to get here. And sometimes we take for granted we're 15 minutes away. Do you know Jesus? They won't come to the altar and pray. Maybe you are right now, you say, Pastor, I got that card, and about 3 of those things I'm doing. I need help right now. I didn't realize it. I didn't realize I was in a depressive state. But God, right now, I'm in a depressive state, and I need you. I need you to show me like you did Elijah. You provided, but God, just wait. But let me just calm my heart so I can hear your small voice. Just calm my heart, Lord, right now. Every note played, every word sung, every word preached, every scripture read is to get us to this point right here. If you do not know Jesus, today you keep. If you are depressed, today you need to call on the strength of the Almighty Lord to get you through. Let's pray.